Hello, ladies, gentlemen, boys, girls, innies, outies, in-betweeners. My name's Dan, of course, and welcome back to another PAP Reports, The Bad Bits. It's Thursday, August 27th, 2020. We spoke about ex-PC Lee Rackham on the 31st of July, an ex-Northumberland police constable who was jailed for 5 years in 2014 after he tried to rape a woman and sexually assaulted 4 more, whilst he was in uniform. Rackham was facing court yesterday again, this time because he lied about his past convictions in order to get a job. 44-year-old Rackham applied for a job in a vape shop in Gateshead, Tyne and Wear in July 2019, where he lied about his past when asked in an interview. This meant that the vape shop owner had no idea of the sexual harm prevention order that Rackham was under, which led to Rackham being left working unsupervised with lone women, which was banned under his order. The company boss later told the police if he had known about Rackham's previous convictions, he would not have hired him. Paul Donoghue, defending at the hearing in July, told the court that, the fraud, he accepts he was asked if he had previous convictions. He knew that if he said yes and they were sexual assaults and misconduct in public office offences, he may well not have bothered applying. Having failed a number of times, he decided not to disclose them. Magistrates committed Rackham to Newcastle Criminal Court on the 26th of August for sentencing after deeming their powers insufficient to finalise the case. However, Rackham of Queen's Gardens in Anetsford near Cramlington, Northumberland, has avoided an immediate jail term after a judge ruled he had demonstrated he could keep out of trouble. Daniel Cordy, mitigating at Newcastle Crown Court, said Rackham's motivation was not to seek the company of lone females, it was to earn a living. He told the court that, since being released from prison in 2016, Rackham had retrained as a wind turbine technician and then in car and caravan sales, 2 professions which is unlikely to see many women in. But, Mr. Cordy said, after the policy changed at his place of employment, he had to disclose his convictions and his employment was terminated. What he wants to do is work so he can earn a living. He wasn't expecting questions about his background or convictions at his interview, and when he was, denied he had any previous convictions. He accepts he lied and that was wrong. The judge, Recorder Alison Hunter QC, told Rackham these offences are deliberate and show a propensity to be deceitful. I recognise the difficulties you face as a man trying to rehabilitate himself and that trying to find work could be significantly impeded by the terms of this order, but that doesn't mean you ignore them, avoid them or deceive potential employers. But she added, I recognise you have demonstrated you can keep out of trouble and comply with court orders. Clearly he can't. The judge sentenced Rackham to 12 months in prison, but suspended the sentence for 18 months. He was ordered to carry out 15 days of rehabilitation activity and pay £400 in prosecution costs. Now, if it wasn't bad enough that Police Scotland and the Scottish justice system are under the cosh over the unlawful proceedings against David Whitehouse and Paul Clark from our first story in the main PAP report, it seems they want to waste more money, this time investigating the death of a former Police Scotland paedophile. 72-year-old Ian Jolly preyed on 4 youngsters between 1987 and 1998, while he had been involved in coaching boys football while serving as a police officer with the former Grampian Police Force. The dirty bastard's behaviour came to light after the national football abuse scandal hit the headlines and a victim came forward, which included exposing himself, performing a sex act in the presence of a child and abusing him on various occasions during a 3-month period. He also admitted similar offences and indecently assaulting the same boy on several occasions over a 3-year period, and on various occasions in 1990s, Jolly exposed himself and performed a sex act in front of another of the boys. He also admitted indecently assaulting 2 other boys in the 1990s. Ian Jolly's death was said to have been from a suspected stroke. Ironic. When he died in HMP Edinburgh last year, however, it seems they now want to waste money on a fatal accident inquiry, which is expected to get underway next month at Edinburgh Sheriff Court. Not entirely sure why they would want to, when they could have simply blamed COVID and saved themselves a lot of money. They're going to need it. Heading down under now after a landmark ruling in Australia, which sees tens of thousands of sexual assault survivors in Victoria stripped of their legal right to tell their stories using their real names. Politicians have voted against the law calling for a public child sex offender registry in Australia that would name and shame paedophiles, and instead the changes to the Judicial Proceedings Reports Act, which were quietly introduced in February, silence all sexual assault victims whose offenders have been found guilty by banning them from ever speaking out under their real identities. The new laws have been branded a major victory for convicted paedophiles and rapists, as their victims are now muzzled and prohibited from self-identifying in publications, including media and autobiographies, regardless of their consent. The laws also apply irrespective of when the crime occurred or when the offender was found guilty, meaning that many Victorian survivors who have lawfully been able to tell their stories in the past are now censored from doing so. Any sexual assault victim found breaking the new laws could face up to 4 months in jail and fines in excess of $3,000. Media outlets could also face potential prosecution and fines of over $8,000. And the only way for a survivor to reclaim the right to self-identify in public is to take the matter to court and obtain a court order, a process which could cost each victim in excess of $10,000. So now we see how slowly but surely the rights of sick, twisted offenders of rape and paedophilia are becoming another protected subset of society, while criminalising the actual victims. If this doesn't make you feel sick, then you are not human. I wondered when another West Yorkshire cretin was going to appear. This time it's a West Yorkshire Police Community Support Officer who seemed to think supporting the youngest of our communities was the best use of his time. 57-year-old David Mallard of the Crescent in Bingley used an online platform in July 23rd last year to attempt to cause or incite a girl under 16, who thankfully turned out to be an undercover police, using the name Tinkerbell to engage in sexualised chat. Mallard was a full-time supply teacher between 1992 and 2017 and had worked for 2 years until his arrest as a PCSO. Mallard came into contact with Tinkerbell on a chat forum and she told him she was 13 and that she lived in Wales. He said he was 17 and they began chatting and exchanging voicemails. Mallard said she was sexy and sent romantic messages in Spanish. He asked to see her, but she said her camera was broken. However, Mallard's messages became increasingly sexualised. Mallard and Tinkerbell also spoke on the phone, where he then claimed he was 36 and from Bristol. He said he would pick her up in his convertible car and that she should wear a short skirt. He told her she was awesome and he could fall in love with her. When Mallard was arrested on August the 10th last year, he gave a no-comment interview to detectives. At Bradford and Keighley Magistrates Court, Holly Clegg, Mallard's barrister, said he was of previous good character, that he was sad and lonely at the time because his marriage was difficult, that he began using chat rooms to talk to adult women, and his offences with Bella were isolated and out of character. Yeah, they always are, aren't they? She said that Mallard was on medication for depression and anxiety and was ashamed and embarrassed. I bet you didn't think you'd have to wait this long for the old mental health defence, did you? She said since his arrest he had taken positive steps, going on voluntary courses, and he was keen to continue his journey of rehabilitation in the community. However, Judge Mansell said, "I would be failing in my public duty if you did not go straight to prison to punish you and to deter others." He pointed to Mallard's reply when Bella said she was 13. "Only 13? That's okay if you are." He had talked of being under the stars, holding her close and kissing her with passion. They were highly sexualised messages, but the girl did not exist and Mallard was of previous good character. However, he had practiced grooming techniques, and his job as a PCSO would potentially have put him in contact with teenage girls. Judge Mansell jailed Mallard for 10 months. Not suspended, and must sign on the sex offenders register for 10 years. He has also been placed under a sexual harm prevention order for 10 years, which prevents him having any unsupervised contact with girls under 16. Although it's not like sexual prevention orders seems to stop these sick fuckers. Maybe there should be a sexual harm dangling from a lamppost order. Now that's something I could back. Very big thank you to every single one of the channel supporters, especially the channel patron supporters. Your support is truly, truly appreciated. And that's it for today's Too Much for YouTube. Please like, please share, please comment, and please subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, as I know many of you will. And until next time, stay safe, look after each other, very important that. Film the police and other officials.
Good night, all.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you like the content and you'd like to help support the channel, you can do so. In the description of every video, there are some links to ways that you're able to help support the channel so I can continue putting out content. If you're unable to help us in that way, hit that subscribe button up the top there. If you haven't already, become a subscriber. That is support enough. Share the videos, comment, like, it all helps. If you're looking for something else to watch, up top there is my latest video. Down the bottom there is a video that YouTube recommends for you.